Hey guys, Rob here with McDojoLife. In today's McDojo news, we're going to talk about a martial arts sword instructor who was arrested for stabbing someone and fraud. Let's check out the story. A man who once lived in Salina and taught Japanese swordsmanship while living in the city was arrested in Florida after an alleged stabbing incident in July. Abel Reeves, age 43, is currently being housed in the St. Lucie County Jail in Florida on 2 charges, including aggravated battery and fraud. In 2017, Abel lived in Salina and taught Kendo and another martial art called Iaido, a martial art that involves drawing a Japanese sword from a sheath, visualizing imaginary opponents while performing different attacking and defending scenarios. That's how it's described in the article anyway, so don't jump all over me. I'm reading the article, man. Reports from Vero Beach, Florida indicate a man was found outside of the Indian River County Sheriff's Office with multiple stab wounds on July 22nd. The 32-year-old was bleeding with a severe wound to his right arm, and deputies applied a tourniquet to control the bleeding. The victim told the deputies that he had been stabbed by a man in a car outside the Ocean Air Inn motel. Vero Beach police went to the motel to investigate, where witnesses confirmed Abel was the suspect in the stabbing. After fleeing the scene, Abel was found and arrested in Fort Pierce, Florida on July 28th. Having an outstanding warrant for fraud in the county, he was booked into the St. Lucie County Jail, where he is currently being held on a $10,000 bond and will be transferred to Indian River County at a later date for the battery charge. All right, can we just for a second stop and address for a moment the irony of the fact that this guy taught 2 martial arts that involved sword, Kendo and Iaido, and he got busted for stabbing a dude. I mean, come on. Nobody else sees the irony, huh? I gotta say, I have never been happier that it was a McDojo instructor who wound up actually stabbing somebody because of that, and because this dude was probably just a charlatan in general, including fraud and all that good stuff, that he was probably not great at teaching sword either, so we can at least applaud the fact that this guy was bad at sword, and luckily that meant that the other guy didn't die, so we can be happy about that. But the irony does not stop there. It continues. Back in May of 2017, there was actually another article done about this man, but in that article, he was kind of shown in more of a pleasant light. That article talked a lot about his class, it talked about how he taught, it talked about the arts that he taught and his history and background and blah, blah, blah. But one thing that stood out to me from that article way back then was all the quotes that he had. And while I'm not going to read the entire article, which is ridiculous, what I am going to do is I'm going to pick a couple quotes out of there and you can just see how ridiculous those quotes sound now that you kind of know about his actual actions and behavior. One quote he made about Iaido stated the following: "It cultivates a capacity for performing the correct action while being entirely in the moment." Maybe when you stabbed that guy and fled from the scene, you shouldn't have been so in the moment. Possibly you should have been looking into the future about the consequences of your actions. Possibly. Another quote that he made in the article said, "Kendo is very visceral and is meant to be a way of conquering fear. When you have a big guy in armor trying to hit you over the head with a bamboo stick, the correct response has to be trained." Just shooting it out there, but I gotta say the correct response to the situation he was in probably was not to stab the guy and run away. Just guess. People who seek us out are looking for something different than just a martial arts class. We want people who are really serious about cultivating a sense of personal development and experiencing something off the beaten path. Maybe if he would have heard someone else say that quote instead of him making that quote, he would have been able to develop himself personally so he didn't commit fraud, which is why he's in jail, other than the stabbing that he's awaiting charges for. But, you know, you get it. Maybe he should have developed himself. And finally, the last quote I'm going to pull from that article says, "It teaches you to respond rather than react to a situation, so you can think about how better to respond and approach it. As a result of my Iaido practice, I feel that I have a greater sense for choosing the correct course of action for any given situation." I mean, come on. That last quote, if you put a picture of his mugshot up with that quote underneath, which I'm going to do right now, but if you put that quote up like that, the irony is just too overwhelming. It hurts my soul, but at the same time, it's hilarious. I know what you're thinking up to this point. Man, people make mistakes. The dude was quoted, time passed, he became a different man. What if I told you this dude had like a track record of this? Would you be surprised? Let's go to the paperwork. In October 20th of 2018, which wasn't a long time after this particular article that I was quoting was written, he was booked for charges of aggravated domestic battery with impeding someone from breathing, also intimidating a witness/victim from trying to report what happened. Then later on down the road in 2019, Dude Man also gets booked again for a probation violation. And of course, let's not forget the fraud that he had a warrant out for. So let's unpack that. A martial arts instructor who taught swords specifically stabs a guy and then goes on the run, where he's caught, and then apparently he had a warrant out for his arrest previously for fraud. Then when I go back and I find another article written about him well before this incident happened, all it is quotes about him talking about how his martial art has helped him become a better man and you could be a better person through that martial art. What a crock of shit. This dude clearly is a terrible human being. I don't know why he stabbed that dude, but we sure know that he was running and had a warrant for fraud. This is the thing, man. Whenever you go to martial arts instructors, right, we have to remember that they're just people. Flawed individuals like myself or yourself or anybody else on the planet. They're just people. If you're looking for the guy on the mountaintop, the guru, the one who's going to show you the way, the path, you're probably not going to find it like that. Martial arts instructors are paid for a skill. The skill that they're paid for in exchange for money is pretty simple. The ability for you to be able to hurt another human being or defend yourself when the time's right and necessary. Sure, sometimes you'll find a martial arts instructor who can guide you, who can teach you to be a better person, who can help you out with that. But most of the time, that's not how that's going to work. Most of the time, when you go to a martial arts instructor, you're just going for the service, and everything else that comes with it, you're going to learn. It's not necessarily that it's taught to you, it's that you learn it over time and experience. Failures, you try, it didn't work out. But as a martial artist, I can tell you, you could probably get almost all of that same crap from almost any other activity. I love martial arts. It's the outlet that I chose. But almost everything that you would learn through martial arts that would be personal development, you would be able to learn that through football. You'd be able to learn that through baseball, through almost any other sport, through almost any other activity, like learning how to play music, because half the battle is learned through failure. Your coach is there to guide you past the failure to make you better, but at the end of the day, it's up to you to make a decision how you want to live your life. Just because there's some guy who's good at punching you in the face doesn't mean that he's necessarily the moral compass that's going to lead you to the promised land of being a better person. You have to want to learn how to be a better person, and you could use martial arts as a tool to get you there, but maybe not. There are plenty of assholes in the martial arts industry. There are plenty of people in the martial arts industry who are bad people, as you can clearly see through this channel. But that doesn't mean that they're all that way. It just means that we have to be careful about who we just listen to blindly. Just food for thought. But anyway, I'm really looking forward to hearing what you guys write in the comment sections below. As always, thank you all for the likes, comments, shares, subscriptions, and all that other crap people online tell you to do. Keep the martial arts legit.
My baby got robbed the other day by degenerates. So she wanted to learn some new form of this self-defense. So she did her research and perused it online and found this dude said he could move shit with his mind. He call himself Seafood Paul Zimmerman. He got a dojo with a strip mall near Cinnabon. Now she spends all day trying to break boards with the